Speaking against, Councillor Peter Young.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'll foreshadow the committee recommendation, and I'll tell you from the outset that I'm disturbed at how this has been brought to Council now with the changed motion before us, where there was no utterance of any issue at committee, which would be a reasonable place to raise issues so people can be properly prepared and not just raise things out of the air, as has been clearly evident in today's debate. We've been told that the Show Society is at risk if it doesn't have a car park, and I have never heard such complete and utter rubbish in my entire time at Council. If we really want to be mindful of the ongoing sustainability of the Show Society, and I'm sure we do, then we've got to ask ourselves a question: why has the Show Society not been able to conduct equine events, horse events, for the last 3 years of its show, where it's located in an equine precinct? And the answer is, I believe, that the Turf Club has chosen those days to run its own events. So the Show Society's been prohibited from running any horse events. There's been no show jumping, none of the other things, like dressage, all those sorts of events have not been able to be conducted at this precinct at all, even though there's been huge investment of public funds to enable the Show Society to be here. So if we're going to look at the question of the viability of the Show Society, let's turn our attention to the Turf Club. For all of those who've identified their membership, they'll be in a position to seek answers to that question. And if, in fact, the Turf Club's doing the right thing, the best it can to accommodate the interests of the Show Society, which we're all here to stand and defend as being an important part of our city's culture. Furthermore, if we're talking about replacing this body of water with a car park, there's been no confirmation exactly how many car parks we might be able to create. But my firm understanding is that within the cultural precinct, we do endeavour to provide a car parking facility, and that obviously will serve a broader area. It will serve the Turf Club, which accommodates the Show Society and the show, and the cultural precinct. So providing a costly car park in one precinct that's only going to provide a small number of car parks seems to compromise the most efficient use of public funds, whereby we'd put those funds into a car park in the cultural precinct. It's been claimed that the water quality has not improved, only by people who've not read the report, obviously, because the report clearly says to us that the water quality has improved. They're not exactly sure how, because of the circumstances that have prevailed over the last year or so. But I do have a copy of a report that was prepared independently by the Bulimba Creek Catchment Coordinating Committee. They've used expertise that we shouldn't question, but I'm happy to provide the report to all the councillors. This was completed in August 2016. And I'll repeat that, it's August 2016, and it shows that with pH, sulphate, conductivity and nitrogen, at least, all of those units of measurement or metrics have reduced. So there's less pH, the sulphate levels are less, the nitrogen levels are less, the conductivity has improved. These are obvious markers or indicators that the water quality has improved. And in fact, what we have before us is a recommendation in such that the benefits that this water body provides in terms of its environmental performance, what it's doing for the water quality, that it should be retained. Page 15 of the agenda says midway, the existing water quality treatment function of the water body should be retained. It also says if we weren't to do that, if we were to do away with this water body, then what we would have to do is provide sufficient land area that's designated for water quality improvement and stormwater conveyance purposes, including the construction of a bioretention system or similar. And of course, a bioretention system requires frequent maintenance. It's not something you just put there and hope it's going to last forever. It will require ongoing annual maintenance at the minimum. The report also says we should investigate the potential of a coordinated daily clean-up of manure and associated waste from council-controlled areas within the precinct, including the possibility of recouping the associated costs. And it also says we should embark upon increased monitoring and surveillance of private horse stable facilities to minimise contamination emanating from these sites. The water body isn't the problem. It's the land use around it that is the problem. And if we take away the water body, we take away the function that it is performing in improving the water quality before it's discharged into the lake system adjacent. If you take it away, there is no cost, as was claimed by Councillor Worcester. He said no cost to council. Untrue. There is a cost to council. There will be a cost to council to implement the proper water quality treatment systems, a cost in an ongoing way to manage those systems, and a cost to manage the disposal of material from the horses in the local area. The site is subject to a number of codes in Council's planning scheme. Code 3, Canals and Waterways, Code 36, Vegetation Management, Code 11, Change to Ground Level, Code 14, Sediment and Erosion Control, Code 9, Natural Wetland Areas. We expect our developers to abide by the city plan, and when they come forward, we expect them to provide significant detail in how they're going to address each of the particular codes, and in this case, these are the relevant ones. It's really wrong for us to, on the fly, just say, no, we're going to replace that and put in a car park, where our town plan gives us clear guidance as to the proper way to do this. And I believe it is wrong for a member of the Show Society and the Turf Club to stand and say that we, being the Show Society, need this for car parking, whereas a report in front of us clearly says to us the public interest is best served, the broader public interest is best served by retention of the basin. Birds Queensland has recorded an extensive list of birds at this site. I don't have that list with me, but I'm not willing to just laugh it off and say these animals will just go elsewhere. So we're told there's a current cost of $12,000 to $18,000 per annum. No one's able to demonstrate to me what the cost might be per annum to replace this water body, put in the systems that have been identified as necessary, and maintain them on an ongoing basis. I don't mind things being evaluated again by a new council, Mr Mayor, but I don't appreciate the opportunity or the lack of opportunity that's been properly given to us by virtue of the motion in front of us today. I can't support it. I'll support the foreshadowed motion, which is the committee recommendation. We note the report. That does not mean that we can't revisit this issue at a later point in time if that's considered necessary. Our objective of trying to defend the city's environment, defend the city's social and cultural heart is important, but we shouldn't be just loosely throwing our support behind a motion that has not been properly thought through, has not been well argued for, and compromises so many legitimate outcomes. Thanks.